I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here.
What did you think of the sermon?
Not too exciting, was it? They could do much better.
In this video today, a woke bishop from Washington gently attacked Trump. During her woke sermon, she was pushing a lot of that DEI woke ideology and pleading with Trump to have mercy on illegal migrants who have committed crimes, which had led to a huge backlash where she ended up having to turn the comments off. But let's actually go to the part of the sermon that got everybody's attention. Watch.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here.
All right, that is just wild, okay? Now, understand something. There's so many people ripping this bishop. Now, I didn't know you could be a bishop as a woman. I'm just being honest here. I'm not too familiar with the Catholic religion. I'm a Christian. That's number one. Number two, why are you injecting politics into your sermon? I respect religious leaders who have nothing to do with politics. Just keep it straight to the religion, please. Similar to sports and other areas of our life. Now, third, I know why she's speaking this way. Number one, she's an activist. Okay, I'm going to show you a clip here shortly. But also the Pope, he's an activist now because he's always criticizing Trump as it pertains to immigration. Let me show you what she was up to 4 years ago.
Why did you want to come out here and send
their message? It is a message of a call for justice, for swift justice for George Floyd, for systemic justice for all brown and black people who have been under the knee of this country in ways that we have witnessed time and again. This is wrong. And this rising up, this spontaneous uprising of people, mostly half my age or younger, they're the ones we should be listening to.
And they're angry at the president.
They're so angry.
They're angry at the president. So what is your message to President Trump today?
Well, I've given up speaking to President Trump. We need to replace President Trump. We need leadership that will lead us in the ways that this country deserves.
Now, clearly, we've seen what Joe Biden did to this country as a result of people like her who believe that he would be better than Trump. Well, in the results column, he was worse, okay? So there's that. This whole thing about the arms of justice or the knees of the government is on the neck of black people. You guys know I talk about this all the time. That is a bunch of bull, okay? Black people can think for themselves. They can make their own decisions and become successful. And ultimately, here's why. It's not on the federal government to decide whether or not I'm going to be successful. That's a relationship between me and God. He put me on this planet to serve him. And if I'm going to be successful in my life, I need to start doing what he's put me on this planet to do. It has nothing to do with the color of my skin, but that's what the Democrats want to focus on. Now, because we now have a real president who will answer questions, and is probably the most transparent president we've ever had in history, he did answer a question from the press about the sermon. Check this out.
Mr. President, what did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the sermon?
What did you think of
What did you think of the service?
What did you think? Did you like it? Did you find it exciting? Not too exciting, was it? I didn't think it was a good service, no. Thank you very much.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
They could do much better.
Thank you, press. Inside. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I agree with him. The sermon could have been much better. She could have just, stayed true to what the Bible was talking about, not what this whole activist movement is talking about. That's got nothing to do with why he's there. Now, one could argue the fact that he's there makes it political. Fine, I'll give you that. But do you think that she really was able to set the best example for all of the bishops out there for the Catholic faith? If you are a Catholic and you're watching this video today, tell me if I got this wrong. Let me know what your thoughts are about all this in the comment section below. I definitely want to hear from you guys, because this just didn't sit right with me. I just felt it was out of touch. And wait till I show you this clip, because she doubled down. She went on CNN just recently, the same day, tonight, and said this.
What were you looking at him in that moment? What kind of response were you perhaps hoping for in that moment?
I was looking at the president because I was speaking directly to him. I was also, frankly, as you do in every sermon, speaking to everyone who was listening through that one-on-one conversation with the president, reminding us all that in the people that are frightened in our country, the two groups of people that I mentioned are our fellow human beings, and that they have been portrayed in all throughout the political campaign in the harshest of lights that I wanted to counter as gently as I could with a reminder of their humanity and their place in our wider community. And I was speaking to the president because I felt that he has this moment now where he feels charged and empowered to do what he feels called to do. And I wanted to say, there is room for mercy. There's room for a broader compassion. We don't need to portray with a broad cloth in the harshest of terms some of the most vulnerable people in our society, who are in fact our neighbors, our friends, our children, our friends' children, and so forth.
All right, Bishop, I challenge you to answer this question. Should we show mercy to the individual who killed Lincoln Riley? Murdered her, right? We shouldn't lock him up, right? We should just continue to let him live here on the government's dime, using taxpayer money to fund whatever lifestyle he deems necessary. Is that what you're saying in your mercy? Now, I'm not naive. I understand the argument of mercy, and I think it's a worthy one. But Trump is clearly targeting the people who are national security issues. You guys just don't like how he delivers the message. And because you hang on every single word that comes out of his mouth, literally, you guys end up wrapped up in a narrative that just isn't reality. Now, the other point that's being made about all this, and really it comes from Scott Jennings, because he makes a phenomenal point, which is she's not doing her cause, the church, and whoever she represents politically, any favors by making such a sideshow out of this entire conversation. She could have easily taken Trump to the side and had that conversation privately. She chose not to, knowing the cameras are rolling. But here's what he said.
And the point that she's making is that people are people, and let's treat them with respect and kindness. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that message.
People are people. Laws are laws. I mean, she was asking him effectively to ignore the immigration laws of the country, which is, I guess, her political preference. And she's also asking him to ignore his own political and personal values, and also to ignore the vast majority of Americans who have a different point of view on these issues. I agree with you. It's her right to say that. I would just say, I think she did her church, which is different today than it used to be, no favors today. And I don't think she did her political causes any favors today in the way she handled it.
Now, what we experience in those clips is a preview of what's going to continue to happen, because one of executive orders that Trump signed was getting rid of DEI in the federal government. And we got the first person that he made a clear example of. It's the Commandant of the Coast Guard, who was relieved of duty effective today. Check this out.
Coast Guard Commandant Admiral Linda Fagan was relieved of duty by President Trump's acting Homeland Security Secretary due to a failure to address border security threats and an excessive focus on DEI. Fagan was the first woman to lead any branch of the U.S. military. The Pentagon is now accelerating deployment orders after President Trump ordered active duty troops to the border.
The cartels are now going to be seen as foreign terror organizations. Would you think about ordering U.S. Special Forces into Mexico to take them out?
Could happen. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, you see, that is a great example of a true leader who's decisive. They're going to project strength. Whether you agree with their policies or not, he is moving at a speed that Joe Biden could never move at, even if he was 20 years younger, of course. But getting back to this whole DEI thing, there was a memorandum that was actually published by CBS News. And it's about the executive orders of ending DEI. And that's why you've seen him relieve the commandant of the Coast Guard. You take one good look at her and you know what she's been up to, okay? Let's just be honest about it. But anyways, what's so interesting about this memo they were able to get a copy of, it's pretty interesting. Right here on the second paragraph, it says, steps to close agency DEIA offices. In light of the above executive orders, each should take prompt actions regarding the offices and agency subunits, focusing exclusively on DEIA initiatives and programs. Specifically, agency heads should take the following steps. No later than 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, they need to send an agency-wide notice to all employees informing them of the closure and asking employees if they know of any efforts to disguise these programs by using coded or imprecise language. Obviously, we know what that means. Employees who are trying to undermine this entire operation and hide the fact that they are running a DEI program. Secondly, send a notification to all employees of DEIA offices that they are being placed on paid administrative leave effective immediately as the agency takes steps to close and all DEIA initiatives, offices, and programs. This is just beautiful, guys. And lastly, take down all outward-facing media, websites, social media accounts, etc. of DEIA offices. Now, this is just sweeping change, okay? And that's why over the next few weeks, we're going to keep updating you on the amount of meltdowns that are going to take place. They're already rolling in, by the way, okay? We definitely have some to show you. And I'm going to start with what Al Sharpton had to say about Trump rolling back DEI, and when companies are also getting rid of their DEI programs, that we should boycott them altogether. Check this out.
Said today is that these companies that are now saying they're going to back up off of diversity and equity and inclusion should therefore not have a diverse consumer base. You don't want diversity, then we should not buy your products. And we're going to name which company. We're going to take 90 days, work with other groups, and come up with 2 or 3 companies that we're going to make the example of Dr. King. Is withdraw dollars. Donald Trump can't make us spend money for companies that will not deal and commit and continue with diversity and equity and inclusion.
Well, Al Sharpton, I'm not even going to say reverend because this guy's not even a true reverend, okay? Let's use Dr. King's intended language about what he wanted for America. We're talking about judging people based on the content of their character, not on the color of their skin. But based on your guys' DEI initiatives, you guys have been judging people based on the color of their skin, which is why a lot of corporations refuse to hire white men. Why have we been doing that? When I thought Dr. King's dream was to judge people based off their character, right? And that's not what's been happening. I said this during the live stream. It's been a overcorrection with this nonsense when it comes to DEI. And by the way, so what? You want black people to boycott everything? Now, I want to show you what Zeke Arkham had to say. I follow him on X, and you should too. Amazing content. He said this, Dear Al Sharpton, you're not Dr. King. You're not even a knockoff. You'd actually have to get better at whatever it is you do in order to be a sidewalk-sold Nigerian knockoff Dr. King. I'd call you a race pimp, but pimps actually have something people want to buy. You've got nothing. You are nothing. History won't remember you. You have no legacy. The most desperate of white elected officials make you think you're someone, but in reality, they are probably laughing at you behind your back. They call you when they want to get something from the black vote, but after that, you're ignored. Pretty much the way you've been for the past decade or two. And guys, we know this. We know Kamala Harris paid him during the campaign, which was just pitiful. Did not set the right example. Now, he goes on to say this: I know I'm not the best Christian, and God's going to have a lot to say to me on my day of judgment. However, I'm so glad I won't be in your shoes that day, Reverend. That fire might be extra hot for you. So, yeah, he's funny. I love this guy. Anyhow, it's true. You know, it just shows you again. Why would a bishop get up on a sermon? The president comes through, the vice president, their wives, families there, and that's your message? That is your message. I can't get over it.
Yeah, so that's obviously very bad. It's particularly evil to. I always think of prisoners, people who are incarcerated who have changed, who have transitioned. According to this, you're going to take trans women and put them in male prisons. What do we think is going to happen to them there?
Yeah,
that's not going to be a good day.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a thing that has real impact.
And you know what? He's right. It is going to have an impact, but it'll be positive instead of the negative impact that under Joe Biden's watch took place. And I've already went over it. And we can talk about how bad DEI has become, because although the intentions may have been good, as I always say, progressive policies always end up with bad outcomes. So in the comments section below, especially for my Catholics out there, what is your grade for that bishop? What grade would you give her as it pertains to that sermon? Now, I know we only showed you a snippet. Clearly, we're not going to show you the entire sermon, but for what you've seen, what would be your, I guess, reaction and feeling about what she had to say to President Trump? Please let me know what your thoughts are and answers in the comment section below. Now, she wasn't the only one that was unhinged about what's been going on over the last 48 hours. You got the entire media melting down over what looked like to a lot of libs out there, Elon Musk rendering a Hail Hitler salute. This literally blew up online, so we had to react to it. And if you guys want to check out that video, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.